Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I cut off when you were just talking about this concept of like, you know, being in fight or flight, you know, and that aspect of it affecting our digestion. And that, you know, that is one of the things that stops when we're activating, you know, that fear response, right? We lose our appetite. You know, we tend to like curl up and hunch over. We don't know, you know, what to do. It's a closed response. And like, when you think about, you know, what we're trying to do when we step into our powers, we're opening ourselves up, right? We like to open up our chest. We like to open up. And when we open up our body, when we're like this, we actually give room in our stomach to digest. And so like, that's also, you know, part of this idea of not being in fight or flight, not being withdrawn, not like, you know, eating in a corner by yourself, but like, you know, really allowing that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so what I've done is that now it was brought to a boil, so I've just lowered the heat, and so that it simmers, and now I'm going to add in a tablespoon of the miso paste. If I can get it off the spoon.
There you go.
Give it a stir.
Yeah.
And we're going to let it simmer like this. Probably for about like 20 minutes, half an hour to 20 minutes. And this is going to give the rice and the beans the time to cook. And then we're going to add some more in there. I want to get to this aspect of what we were talking about with gut health, because, you know, our gut, our like stomach lining and our intestinal lining, and there's other parts of our bodies that do this too, but like, this is where we really start to develop the sense of self and the sense of the outside world, because we're taking in the outside world, we're putting it into our body very specifically, and we're digesting it so that we incorporate some of these elements into us, and that we are then, you know, getting rid of what we don't need, right? Like, we just eliminate, we excrete what we don't need. So there's this sense of self where we play this like integration with, you know, this is the part that I'm going to take, this is the part that I'm not, which I feel like is a lot what we have to do in life, right? Yeah. Like, we can take in somebody's energy, or we can say like, I'll take this but not that. Like, it's a boundary, right? It's a boundary layer.
Yeah.
But our gut health, I think like people begin to understand this now, right? Our gut health affects our brain. And there's, you know, there's been more and more connection that's being shown to this. And I don't want to get into the details of it, because this is a deep, you know, subject matter, and it's like something that, you know, is near and dear to my heart. But one of the reasons that we have this gut-brain connection is because we can end up with a leaky gut. And leaky guts then create all these toxins that are now going in through our bloodstream. And then that's where they can actually cross the blood-brain barrier and get into the brain. And they're showing how it can cause conditions like dementia or Alzheimer's, or, you know, just things that we have maybe been thinking about, like, oh, I have a forgetful memory. Maybe this older person, starting to have forgetful memory. Maybe it's Alzheimer's. Maybe it's gut health. You know, maybe there's something that's going on there. And okay, so this is going to be like the question that I have for everybody, and everybody who's watching. You know, I'm sorry that I don't see your comments all the time, and I try to keep an eye out. But like, how important do people think probiotics are for our diet? Do you use probiotics, Ariel?
Just in food, but not as a supplement.
Not as a supplement, yeah. Does anybody else like use probiotics? I'm curious, and I'll keep an eye out for your comments. But the reason, you know, I'm stating this is, like, if you go to the grocery store, I feel like almost everything is ladled with like fortified with probiotics, you know, like fortified with. And, you know, we're encouraged to constantly take probiotics.
Yes.
Probiotics are ruining our gut.
Oh,
okay. They are ruining our gut. Now, I had always had this kind of thought, but I found this researcher. He's actually an MD. I think his name is Zach Bush, and he's somebody that is a medical doctor who has been studying the intestinal lining and gut health and the microbiome for his entire career, is really into like food as medicine, but like he's a guy that I actually want to have a conversation about like 5D and quantum with. Like he's so in it. Like he is so entrenched in the medical world and so entrenched in like understanding more than life that like it's amazing. But he, you know, it's mostly through meditation. He doesn't really talk about 5D or anything like that, but I feel like I could ask him questions and he would have like a very intelligent answer.
Yeah.
But, so think about this. Our gut is actually like the soil. It's the place where we're producing the soil of our body. Right? It's a place where we have, like, you want it to be like compost. You want it to be rich in nutrients. You want that to be going through your body. Well, all of that is happening not only because of the acids and the chemicals in our body, but it's happening because of our microbiome. Now we have something like 40,000 species of bacteria that live on us. Okay. So this is all throughout our body, bacteria every single place. Our bodies thrive on bacteria. So there are tens of thousands of species of bacteria that are in our intestinal lining and in our stomach. When you go buy a probiotic supplement, you are at most getting like 3 to 15 strains of bacteria. 3 to 15 compared to the tens of thousands that should be living in our gut. So what ends up happening is that we are, and again, I'm not going to get into the details, and I'd love to chat with anybody who's interested in any of this stuff, you know, at any point. But because of our environment, because of the way we, you know, not all of us willingly, like this is sometimes things that are thrust upon us, right? Like you can have things like GMOs where once you release it into the environment, you can't take it away, right? The birds and the bees and everybody's pollinating, those things remain in the environment. So there's certain factors in our environment that are causing us to have constant antibiotic exposure. I don't care where you live or what you do. It is in the world now. You know what I mean? Like this is out there. And so we're constantly being exposed to antibiotics. And then you think about it, we are like soaps with antibiotics and we have like everything with an antibiotic. I found it really interesting that just as the FDA was saying, let's take out all the antibiotics out of our soaps and everything, that we got hit with COVID-19 and everybody's like, antibiotic this, like, you know, let's scrub this all, like, and use these, you know, like antibacterial, you know, reagents, right? Like use everything antibacterial. And so it's really interesting how all these things are happening. But the problem is because we're constantly being exposed to, you know, the bacteria are constantly being depleted in our body, that we are then taking a probiotic that's, you know, in food or as a supplement, and we're repopulating with only 3 to 15 strains. And so what you're doing, say that again?
It's the same 3 to 15 in all the foods and supplements?
Same 3 to 15, same like acidophilus and whatever. The same 3 to 15 strains. So what we're doing is creating monocultures in our body. Right? We are doing so our internal environment is a reflection of our external, right? Like we hear this, as above, so below, like as within, so without. And think about, this was the most mind-blowing thing he ever said to, like, what I heard in a lecture. He said the extinction of our environment and the lack of diversity that is happening because of what we're doing to our environment is a direct reflection of what we're doing to our internal environment with regards to our microbiome. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. We're destroying our inner ecology. We're destroying this, like, this really rich, like, absolutely diversified ecosystem within our body. We're not humans that function alone. We thrive of all the bacteria, the viruses, the parasites. Like, there are some that get out of balance. But why do they get out of balance? They get out of balance because we're
right,
we're out of balance.
Yeah, the terrain is out of balance, right?
Exactly.
So that's really interesting, because when you link everything you just said with that statement or that concept of I can, right? It's like, if this is out of balance, then it makes it a lot harder to feel like you can do something.
Exactly.
Right? So,
exactly.
right? So it's like a disempowerment of our creativity, of our will, free will, autonomy, sovereignty. I can speak, I can, whatever it is, fill in the blank.
100%. And this is what I preach. This is, one of the things they say with the I can is to step out of your comfort zone, right? Like, put yourself into something different. I mean, this food series, for us, both of us, was stepping out of our comfort zone, right? Like, doing something different, just going with the flow, with however things turn out, and like, just figuring it out along the way. And but it's, I left my career last January because I got tired of this concept of, there's benefits and there's, lots of issues with everything. I was in the pharma industry, and like, I was lucky getting to communicate for people who were in desperate need, children who were dying, like people who are dealing with, stage 4 breast cancer and brain cancer, and really like devastating diseases where they need extra support, right? They need something. Like, I had a brother and sister who died of genetic diseases, and pharma actually allowed them to live a longer life that was a lot less painful than it would have been on their own. They both died before. My brother died at the age of 10. My sister died at the age of 8. And it's a neurodegenerative disease, but it causes seizures, and it causes like ridiculous amounts of pain for them. And without those drugs, they would have been in a lot more pain with a lot shorter life. So there's benefits to certain things, but like, when we're promoting this concept of like, we get our health through, taking antidepressants and taking anti-anxieties, and like, but this can all be done through food. Food is, powerful, and we have things like essential oils, and we have things like, energy therapies, and all these different ways. There's so many different ways that we can heal ourselves, and everybody's built differently. You find the medicine that works for you. But when we are in our full health, say that again.
Social uprisings, civil uprisings. I mean, we have to change our ecology also, right?
We have to change everything.
Yeah.
But, when we're in our full health, we're in our full power. Because think about it, like, if there's anything wrong with your health, like, even if like there's a slight earache, if your stomach is a little, if you stub your toe, whatever it is, our mind is distracted, and it immediately goes to the place where we're feeling uncomfortable. Yeah. And so when we're in our full power is when we're in our full health. Now, things will happen, right? I had a friend who stepped on glass, and like, somebody else who, like hurt their foot by like, like kicking something by accident. Like, things happen, we get hurt, but we can control some of the ways that we are influenced, we're influencing our health, and that's by what we eat. And this is why I say, like, make conscious choices with that, because when we're doing that, we're building this kind of like, I mean, we're our own medicine, right? Yeah. We're the ones that can cure anything that's happening to us.
Yeah, it's so true. Eating well, resting, meditating, dreaming. Yeah. I mean, you get so much. You get so much insight, and your brain has an opportunity to integrate information and events. Things make sense, and you know how to move forward when you're eating well, when you're rested, etc.